Now, we all know that Trump has had a history of being a bit, let's say, hands-on when it comes to diplomacy. Whether it's through social media, handshakes, or even trade wars, the man likes to keep things interesting. But when it comes to this 245% tariff saga, Trump's got one issue: he's waiting for a phone call from Xi Jinping. And not just any phone call, no, he's been waiting for a conversation that would settle the score and ease the tension between the two economic giants. But here's the catch: it's been over 245 days, and there's been nothing. Not even a missed call. Not even a, "Hey, I'll call you back in a few minutes." Not a single response. Trump might be used to this type of uncertainty in business, but not in global politics, especially with China. And what's even worse? The longer he waits, the more bizarre the situation becomes. We're talking about tariffs that could destroy American businesses, skyrocket consumer prices, and potentially plunge the US into a trade war like no other. And Trump, well, he's just sitting there, waiting, praying for that phone to ring, and it's not ringing. Not even once. This lack of response from Xi Jinping is, frankly, a slap in the face. It's like waiting for a friend to show up to a party they promised to attend, and they just don't show up. In fact, not only is Trump waiting for a call, but he's practically begging for it at this point. The irony here is that Xi Jinping, who holds the reins of China's economy, doesn't even seem to care enough to pick up the phone and talk about the 245% tariffs that are hanging over the US like a sword. So, let's pause for a second and think about this. How does it feel to be Trump right now? You're waiting for that one person who could completely change the course of your political and economic future, and they just don't respond. This isn't a text message that goes unread. This is the fate of an entire nation hanging in the balance, and the other party is just silent. If I were Trump, I'd be going out of my mind by now. But hey, he's got to keep it cool, right? The show must go on. But imagine, just for a moment, the awkwardness, the uncertainty, and the frustration that must come with this silence. The next time Trump checks his phone, all he'll see is a missed call notification, and nothing else. Now, let's zoom in on Xi Jinping. While Trump is practically losing his hair over the looming 245% tariffs, Xi is sitting back in his ultra-comfortable office, completely unfazed by any of it. Picture this: he's lounging in his plush leather chair, maybe even sipping on a cup of tea, and his phone, well, it's just sitting there, completely ignored. The thought that Trump is sitting in front of a screen, frantically waiting for Xi's response, seems to entertain Xi just as much as it annoys Trump. Because here's the reality: Xi doesn't care. Why should he? From Xi's perspective, China is already the dominant economic force on the planet. With its Belt and Road Initiative, its growing influence in Africa, and its rising power in global markets, the United States doesn't hold the same kind of weight it once did. Xi knows it, and guess what? So does the rest of the world. But here's the kicker: America just doesn't seem to realize this yet. The narrative that the US is the world's economic leader is slowly crumbling, and China, under Xi's leadership, is picking up the pieces. This isn't just about trade deals or tariffs, this is about reshaping the entire global order. The 245% tariffs. They're just a bump in the road for China. While Trump's busy wringing his hands over a couple of percent, Xi is busy planning his next big move on the global chessboard. And Trump? Well, he's in the dark, hoping for a call, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he'll get some sort of acknowledgement from Xi. But Xi doesn't see the need for any of that. Why bother? The US can scream, tweet, and send threatening letters all they want, but at the end of the day, China is going to do what China does best: adapt, innovate, and outlast. So, Trump is sitting there, staring at his phone, probably wondering what went wrong, as Xi is off doing something far more interesting, like, leading China into the next great economic era. Maybe Xi's really busy. Maybe he's plotting the next step in China's global takeover. Maybe he's just decided that America isn't even worth a text, let alone a phone call. So here's where things get interesting. Trump has been waiting. He's tried everything, sending out tweets, talking tough, making promises. But guess what? Nothing. It's almost as if the harder he tries, the more ignored he feels. So, what does he do now? How does a man like Trump, who is used to getting what he wants with the snap of his fingers, handle the cold shoulder from one of the most powerful men in the world? You might think that Trump would just pick up the phone and call again. But there's one problem: she's not going to pick up. So, do we have a situation where Trump needs to change his approach? Maybe it's time to send Xi a message that he can't ignore, a tweet, a video, or perhaps something more dramatic like a full-on press conference. Maybe a song, even a rap battle with China. Imagine Trump trying to outwit Xi in a rap battle over trade tariffs. Sounds crazy, right? But in the world of international politics, nothing's too crazy. But here's the reality: no matter how hard Trump tries to get Xi's attention, it doesn't seem to work. The problem here is that Xi knows the game he's playing. He knows how to control the narrative, how to stay calm and collected while his adversaries flail around in frustration. And as for Trump, he's got to keep up the act. He can't just admit that he's been ignored for months. So what does he do? He just keeps trying, again and again. But deep down, I think Trump knows that the more he tries, the more desperate it looks. And that's not a good look for a man who prides himself on being the toughest negotiator on the planet. So, what's next for Trump? Does he escalate? Does he tweet some more? Or does he accept that maybe, just maybe, Xi is not going to answer him, ever? In the world of global politics, being ignored can be just as damaging as any bombshell tariff. But if there's one thing Trump knows, it's how to keep up appearances. So, I guess we'll see how he plays this game. Maybe the problem isn't that Xi doesn't want to talk. Maybe the problem is just the technology. Maybe the Wi-Fi isn't strong enough for Xi to get the call. Maybe his phone's broken, or maybe the connection just keeps dropping out. But, let's be real here, if anyone should be worried about connectivity issues, it's Trump. He's the one left staring at his phone, hoping for some signal, hoping that at least once, that ring will sound. But no. Nothing. It's the ultimate technological failure. And as we all know, there's nothing more frustrating than being caught in a situation where everything you try just falls flat. Maybe Trump should have expected this. After all, the Chinese are masters at controlling communication, and Xi is no exception. While Trump is out here trying to fix his Wi-Fi and make sure he gets a call through, Xi is probably just enjoying some quiet time, with absolutely no interest in picking up the phone. Maybe this is all part of a bigger plan. Maybe Xi wants to prove a point. You want a call? Prove you're worth talking to. Or maybe Xi just knows that in the grand scheme of things, this phone call really doesn't matter. The message is clear: America, for all its noise, still can't force China's hand. No matter how many technical issues Trump encounters, the reality remains the same. Xi isn't interested, and that's just how it is. Trump's got to face the facts. Sometimes, even the best technology in the world won't fix the silence. Opposition politicians speak out: Trump, the clown president. But behind all of this is not just Trump's frustration. Opposition politicians in the US are not letting this situation slide. They are looking at what's happening and are not shy about offering biting commentary. One such critic, Senator Elizabeth Warren, bluntly called Trump a clown president. She said, "We cannot let someone like him continue leading this country. A clown president, incapable of communication, unable to lead, and only knowing how to play threats with outrageous tariffs. How can we expect a country like this to have a clear strategy?" And really, these criticisms aren't random. Across the Democratic Party and in other opposition areas, people are looking at this situation and seeing that Trump isn't just struggling with China's tariffs, he is entirely lacking the ability to communicate and lead on crucial matters. Senator Chuck Schumer, a political opponent of Trump, even mocked him as a joke in the political arena, as if all he does is send out angry tweets and create crises. Opposition lawmakers argue that Trump's inability to have a simple phone call with Xi Jinping is a clear demonstration of his lack of professionalism and leadership. If a president can't even maintain a phone call, how can he handle major international issues? One of the critics fiercely stated,